Last night morning, the county board, June 10th, 5 a.m. Football.
Alt. Locken. Yes. Bard.
Yeah.
Barron.
Yeah.
Spence.
Here.
Crowe. Ducat.
Yes.
Geiger.
Here.
Grant.
Here.
Hughes.
Here.
McGinnis. Lunsferman. Perkinson. Here. Watts.
Here.
Whitlow. Williams.
Here.
This is what's going to be introduced our pastor for the prayer. And would you, board members, if you could please forward to Jody again the names of any preachers you may know for future.
This morning we have Doug Vinton from Park City. Pastor has been before, has been support and taken up years. We have Milford, pastor, and his wife have 3 children. Thank you for being.
Let us pray. Lord God, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and all its many blessings. We thank you for the abilities and the vocations you have given to each of the board members here as we lift them before you this morning as they take care of the business of this county. We ask you to send your spirit among them that your will may be done in all. All this we ask in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We had a chance to look at the agenda. Mrs. Crowe, second. Mr. Hughes. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? Second. Second, Mr. Burns. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Can I get a motion to approve payroll? Williams? Can I get a second? Grant? Further discussion?
Locken.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
Barron. Spence.
Yes.
Crowe. Yes. Ducat.
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes.
Grant. Hughes.
Yes.
Lunsferman. Perkinson.
Yes.
Watts. Williams.
Yes.
Alt.
Public comments? Morning.
Good morning. I have 2 things today. First thing is Peace Meals are back. We have Cindy's Diner in Buckley, which is new. Cissna Park Restaurant. It's Cissna Park. Watsika Table and Burke's Place in Milford. So we're back to having 4 sites in Iroquois County, and they are all up and operational. Also checking those sites for their specific business hours. Secondly, Representative Bunting is doing a summer reading program for kindergarten through 5th grade. So if you know of anyone that wants to participate, they just have to read 8 books. They get invited to an ice cream party and you get an official house certificate. So I have extras of these if anybody needs them. So thank you.
Anyone else in public comment? Adam, might be collecting the law. Address us, please.
I'm Mike Thompson with the Spence Township Road District. This is Adam Weber with Ashland Township Road District. As you're aware, we have on the table today to approve a bid with IBC for the bridge to, sometimes called the Bridge of Nowhere. But it's a bridge to 3 different properties. It is 1 house with 30 acres. It's another parcel of land, approximately 70 acres. That is farmed by Glenn Wilkin and Joe McTaggart has a piece of property also. We're here to support it. Obviously, we've been working on this project for actually over 11 years. This started out as a $97,000 project. It got held up by the Historical Society for over 2 years. Then it went into about a $175,000 project. And this continued for the last 8 to 10 years. Every time it went back the next year, IDOT had to put more numbers to it. They had to put more riprap to it. A different engineer looked at it. We added prices. Now we're all the way up to almost $750,000. I hate to say it, but we have to stop the leak. If we don't do it today, next year it's going to be an $850,000 project. And we will lose, as you know, roughly $550,000 of federal funding for it, which will come out of our pocket in the future and or some of your pocket as a county. Obviously, there's this public comment, there's no discussion, but if you do have any further questions when this comes to a vote, feel free to answer them to our customers. So, it's not something we turned up last night to build this bridge. It's been a long time coming. I apologize for being part of a very expensive situation for a little piece of the pie, but we have the right to give somebody, we have the obligation to give somebody access to the land that has always been accessed in the past.
Thank you, John. The other public comment this morning.
I have 2 introductions to make this morning, and the first being Monty Andrews. Monty, why don't you stand up? Monty is our PPOM for rural transportation. His office is in Livingston County, and he's going to be part of the administration process for the grant monies for GoBus. So we welcome him today. He's here to meet people. Please introduce yourself and say hello to him. Okay? Thanks for coming. Thank you. Okay. Secondly, I'd like to introduce our new animal control director, Angela Frary. Stand up, Angela. So Angela's been here since the 19th of May, and she resides in Martinton, and so far things are going well, and we welcome her to the team. So thank you, Angela. Thank you.
I want to say first off, Monty, Angela, thank you so much for stepping up. Animal control, animal transportation, and senior services, so I appreciate it. Do we have any other public comments? All right, no more public comments. Chairman comments. Put it this way with when you have public comment. Transportation. We need to do this, because we have one person, 100 houses on that road. Our community. We take care of every individual in this county. One, outside organizations. Outside organization reports. Right, committee reports. So management. Mr.
Chairman and members of the county board, the committee has referred management services with Becky to submit the following report on matters before them. The committee met at the Administrative Center on June 2nd, 2025, at 9:06 p.m. Members present were Kathleen Ferguson, David Larkin, Scott Crowe, Roger Bard, Scott Lux, and John Grant. Also present, County Board Chair Holly Cox, Finance Manager Joe Johnson, Maintenance Supervisor Chris Drake, TTS Director Eric Raymond, and County Board Member Charlie Hall. Meetings called to order. It was moved by Watson, seconded by Crowe to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. During public comments, TTS Director Eric Raymond addressed the committee regarding the issue with the 911 communications tower, stating EMA Director Scott Anderson installed his weather station on the communications tower without any discussion or permission being granted. Raymond said he had requested Anderson remove the weather station from the tower as there was a potential to disrupt emergency communications. The weather station device is currently running horizontally in front of one of the new StarCom antennas. Raymond added there are many other places in and along the outside of the building where the device can be mounted. Raymond said Anderson recommended he contact Motorola to confirm if there will be any challenges or disruptions. Raymond has not been in contact with Motorola yet. Finance Manager Joe Johnson said she spoke with County Board Chair regarding the matter, and Anderson has intentions to relocate the weather station. Lastly, Raymond reported the go live date for StarCom was May 27. There's only been one known challenge with reception. Maintenance Supervisor Drake's report included the following. Heat pump in the USDA break room needed charge. Carpets were cleaned and tile floors were stripped and waxed in the USDA office over the holiday weekend. Depending on the budget, Drake would like to have the hallway floors in the administrative building stripped and waxed as well. Parking lots at the administrative building are scheduled to be seal coated and striped this summer. Drake will inform staff in advance so they can make alternate parking arrangements. Jail experienced some drain issues that Drake was able to take care of. Maintenance trucks were serviced. Flowers were planted at the courthouse. Outback Pumping is a new vendor that will be used at the jail on replacing pumps. Watts provided an update on the county farm, stating the crop was up in all the fields. Grass is coming up where the waterway was seeded, and the mowing was conducted. Watts said he would like fertilizer bid to go out. It's the fertilizer to go out to bid in August. The committee discussed long-term maintenance capital improvements projects for the next budget year. Drake stated all building roofs are in good condition. The steps at the courthouse need repairing. Johnson added that the parking lots were on an every 3-year rotation and $20,000 per year is budgeted for each of the heat pumps. In addition, the Truist loan AT&T SmartWatt project is paid from the capital expense line. Beginning in 26, additional payments can be made to this fund. Johnson is including an additional payment of $43,410 as requested by the county board when the loan first originated, and will budget an additional $10,000 each year. Karen Persee is getting estimates for repairs to the jail basement floor. Items to consider for the animal control building include additional kennel runs. Johnson would also like to revisit installing guillotine doors and the kennel runs as previously requested. Drake added that the HVAC system is in good working order and the roof is also in good condition. The interior of the building has damage from the animals. Crowe stated there is believed to be a market for grooming services and the building has the potential to add this service. Further discussion will be held at the health committee meeting. Management Chair Perkinson provided an update of the boardroom configuration, stating the room had been rearranged that morning. The next step is to work with Area Light on the AV system. The committee provided their feedback on the arrangement of the boardroom. Hopefully you all like it. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by John Grant, seconded by Cindy Botkin to pay the claims subject to county board approval. The roll call vote was taken, motion carried. There was no old business, there was no new business, there was no further business to come before the committees. It's moved by Crowe and seconded by Bachman to adjourn at 9:43 a.m. Motion carried. All of which is respectively committed by the members present, and I ask for the adoption.
All right, the motion on the floor, do we have a second? Bakken? Any further discussion?
Bard,
Yes.
Behrens,
Yes.
Benz, Crowe,
Yes.
Ducat,
Yes.
Jaeger,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Munsterman, Ferguson, Watts, Williams,
Yes.
Holt, Bakken. Yes.
All right, we're gonna go a little backwards for a second. Our state senator's very busy. He was able to come here today. Go ahead and hop right up, take a few minutes, and I guess go do it.
All right. Well, thank you all for letting me speak for a second. I'll step back here and so I can see everybody. First off, introduce Anna, unless you've already introduced yourself, Anna. So Anna Hagan is working in her office as an intern this summer, and she's doing a fantastic job. So welcome to Anna. She lives in this area. And just to dovetail on that note, the chairman, Paul, has been kind enough to allow us to have office space in the building here. So we will be taking that as July 1st or?
Depends on the contract, so we gotta
Depending on that, we're setting that up. So as you know, the district goes from the Indiana line to East Peoria, then down to Bloomington Normal and up to almost to the LaSalle area. So 13 counties. We've got the offices in Pontiac and Dwight, one in El Paso, and now we'll have presence here in Iroquois. So very, very grateful for that. Thank you for that. Thank you to Paul and the board for allowing us to work in that space. So it was a very fun and frustrating spring at the same time. So from an overall perspective, I've been at Caterpillar 32 years. I grew up in Indiana and Lafayette, got transferred to Peoria in '97, and Illinois has been home ever since. I got sworn in January 8th, and by January 10th, I realized I'm not going to do either job justice if I keep working at Caterpillar and do the Senate thing. I had permission to do that, but my wife and I talked about it, we prayed about it, and financially it was not the best decision for our family, but to help the state and to make sure that from a senatorial commitment, I wanted to put the state first. So I went ahead and retired from Caterpillar April 30th. So I am 110% dedicated to the state and to helping each of the counties, including Iroquois. So the fun piece was, it was great to get to know that all the folks down there. So just like here in Iroquois County, there's a whole lot of employees that just want to do a good job. And I'll say down there, amongst the 59 state agencies that, as I walk through the spring and look at things, could probably be reduced to about 29 and be more effective. But in this 59 state agencies, there's a lot of folks that just want to do a good job. There's also about 10 people, I can tell you, that are kind of running the state right now. So when you put things on the agenda on the county board, you walk through it, you have the discussion, you vote on it. We get down there, we get sworn in, we walk through the session, and they'll start off with the pledge, with a prayer, and then they'll be milling around and standing, and sometimes we'll skip around on the agenda, other times we won't cover things whatsoever. And I'll ask my leadership team as a Republican, what's happening? Well, we're waiting. And then I'll ask even the leaders, the Democrat leaders that would be on the stage, what's next? What are we doing? Well, we're waiting. We'll get to it. And it was very secretive. It's very much from an overall perspective. The senatorial leadership and the House leadership are taking their direction from a few folks. And so I'm bound and determined to get into the middle of that. And the nice thing is that there's 13 million people in Illinois. There's about 10 million that are completely frustrated with where we're headed. So if you take the property tax structure, the corporate income tax for businesses, the sales tax, and the personal income, we're the highest taxed in the nation. So the cream of the crop was on Friday night when we finally got the budget that we had to vote on Saturday night. In there was a Save the Chicago Transit Authority delivery tax. And that was a delivery tax I'm sure you've heard on. Every Amazon order, every Grubhub order, every order that came to a person's house throughout all of Illinois would have generated about 1.5, well, that piece would have generated about $1 billion to save the Chicago Transit Authority. And it was terrible. It unfortunately passed the Senate. The gift was it did not pass the House. So Jason Bunting, Ohio represents, and a lot of the others pushed back hard. It did not get called for a vote because they think they have the votes. In the meantime, we sounded the alarms. And if you pull anybody off the street in, downtown Chicago or down in Cairo or wherever, any part of Illinois, and say, do you want your $10 pizza that now costs $11.50? It hit home. And so I think people are understanding that the trajectory we're on, $55 billion budget that got passed, with another $1 billion that didn't get passed, but they want to pass, we are on a tipping point. So that's the good news. I feel like we've got great opportunities going forward. I'm spending my time meeting with the 59 state agencies, and everywhere from Department of Natural Resources to the Department of Corrections to Department of Labor. I was able to get onto an audit committee, which audits actually the financial side of all the agencies. So from that perspective, I'm digging in deep, and just like you do here in Iroquois County, we're going through, from a forensic audit perspective, understanding where every dollar is spent. And for 55 billion of them, that's a lot of dollars to spend, and it's a lot of dollars that we're looking at opportunities on. So I think we're at a tipping point from an overall frustration perspective, which is good for Illinois in total, because we realize we cannot continue on the path that we're on. So from that perspective, it's good. There's really two sets of bills. There's the maintenance bills that go through that are pretty much 100%, in agreement on. It's the stuff that everybody would agree on that we need to do. And then there's a chunk of bills that are the hot button items that usually you get party line votes on, and that's the stuff that we pushed hard to stop on. So that's kind of a taste of where I'm at. From a gun safety perspective, there was a bad bill that got through that allowed the homeowner, or required the homeowner, if your gun is stolen, you have to report that in 48 hours or 24 hours versus 72 hours. Well, if you have your gun locked up, how are you going to know, that it's gone in that period of time? It's just this gotcha mentality that they're continuing to push on. So the good news is that I feel like we're at a tipping point. I feel like we've got opportunities as a state. The bad news is that we are on a trajectory that, left unchecked, will just continue to lose people. So I ran on the premise, or the commitment in the push to reverse the movie trucks, bring people back to Illinois. That means we've got to have small and large businesses back. That means we've got to have a welcoming place to do business. So I'd love to take a few questions. A closing story that I want to work with people while standing on principle. So I said, I'm going to go find the most, I'm a very conservative Republican senator. I'm going to go find the most liberal senator I can. I happened to find Priscilla Guzman, District 20. She's in the southern part of Chicago. Happened to get sworn in as well, so freshman senator. So I said, great, I'm going to get to know her and find common points. It took me about 3 minutes to find 3 common points. Property taxes. The conversation came up. She said, oh, it's terrible. I live in a building. The landlord raised my rate 30% because of property taxes. I said, that's great. Let's work on that together. Now, how we work on that, is going to be perhaps a little bit different. But we just walked right down the line, and even the most, I would say, progressive senators in the House and the Senate want to help people. Just like as a conservative senator, I want to help people. The way we go about that is vastly different. But I feel like we're at a tipping point where the momentum is on our side. The nice thing about the truth is it never changes, it just grows. And we have the opportunity to continue to pull back the facts and the data and drive that. And like it or not, the Made in America is coming back out of Washington, and we don't want it to be made in Indiana and Ohio and Michigan. We want it to be made in Illinois, and we have to change the business environment here. And so that's my #1 priority, with a total emphasis on property taxes. is what I'm working on. So that's kind of an overview, but I would love to take any questions and give any feedback that I can. Yes, sir.
So could you give us just a brief idea of what would you do with property tax? What would you do about it? What would be a couple of your ideas?
Yeah, so if you look, and one thing is that there's a couple of organizations, you know, we got UCCI and you got other county organizations where you can compare notes. So I went and found those organizations at the state level. So the obvious question is, what's everybody else doing? You know, in Indiana, you know, you knock on a door and it's over here, Sheldon, and, you know, somebody says, well, my family just moved to Indiana and my property taxes are half the cost. Well, how do they do it? You know, I grew up in Tippecanoe School Corporation. My friend is the superintendent there now. They have decent schools. They have good schools like us. How are they doing it for half the cost? The big difference is that we in Illinois are most reliant on the property taxes. The 70% of the property tax bill goes to the schools. Most of the other states have more of that funding coming from the state budget. So we're at 55 billion. There's about 22 billion. I've got some teams now that are doing more research, I think, than they've ever been asked to do in the past down there in Springfield. There's about 22 billion that makes up all of the property taxes from all around the state. So the obvious question is, well, take the 22 billion, reduce the property taxes by 70%. Can we shift that to the state budget and make that, you know, 55 to 78? You know, the obvious answer is no. But splitting that difference, there's an evidence-based funding formula that actually the governor cut, and he was supposed to increase that where more state funding was supposed to go to schools to provide relief. So it's a collaborative effort there to shift funding away from the property tax formula, but yet drive the accountability on the state side and the property tax side. The governor tried to, you know, split the difference and say, well, I'm going to try and reduce the 8,000 entities of government that we have here in Illinois and mandate that township consolidation bill. Well, that went over like a lead balloon, thankfully. And I would say right behind the homeschooling crew that rallied against that bill, HB 2827, the townships organized and rallied against that bill, which was great because thank you for all of you representing townships in here. I got a lot of feedback and the resolutions that were passed that allowed me to go down and push back on that. So we don't want to top-down mandate consolidations or mandate those changes from a government entity perspective, but rather a ground up. So in Grundy County, we had 2 townships come to us say, please consolidate with us. Our situation is such that we want to be consolidated. That makes sense when you do it from the ground up. You can't mandate it top down. So to answer your question, the school funding formulas need to change, and otherwise we'll continue to see the property taxes soar. I got one spring under my belt here. We're now working hard into the fall, to the veto session in the spring. I feel like I'll be a lot more aligned to pitch ideas that will have to get bipartisan support. Yes, sir. Oh,
Good morning, Senator. Good morning, Senator. Monty Andrews, I'm the new Program Compliance Oversight Monitor for Rural Transportation for Livingston, Ford, and Iroquois County. The only question I have is when's the next time you'll be in your Pontiac office? Because I'd love to come and chat with you about the whole rural transportation situation as it is. And it is definitely an issue that you can come together if you're more progressives. As soon as you mention the disabled, the elderly, and low-income people that need that transportation, they're more than willing usually to push the funding for it.
And you're right. Some of those bipartisan issues, it's like park districts, you know, most people don't have a bad day when they go to the park. That's a bipartisan issue. Regional transportation, I agree. On timing, we've got folks in each of the offices, but I'll do something that my staff tells me not to do, which is give my cell phone number. So 815-641-0086. 815-641-0086. Call me, text me. Let's not wait till I need to get over there. Let's just hop on the phone. And that goes for, you know, any of the board members, staff, the public. That's my cell phone. I would love to hear directly on these issues, especially the ones that can get bipartisan support.
for legislation. How do you feel like to represent such a giant 13 counties? How hard is it to represent when some people feel like they're maybe not heard? We have areas that feel like Chicago's more heard. How do you feel like that happens in the House when you're working with people? How hard is that?
Well, first off, Tom Bennett had a lot of energy. Tom Bennett was everything. And so Tom did a great job. I'm walking in his shoes and I really commend him and people that have gotten recently. I'm like, wow, you really did it. So the first question is, or the first answer is, I really need to be everywhere. And thanks to Anna and Kyra and Jason and then Dennis Tipser, Deb Karch, we've got a team effort going where we've got to have more than just me out there in the district. Building relationships with the 216,000 in the district, that's how many people are in each one. Building the relationships is the fun part for me. And working with the counties, working with, there's 108 mayors, the average town size is 800, if you exclude the big cities. And so that just fits my DNA from a small town perspective. So I would say it's fun and looking for areas of bipartisan support. If I go out there and push a social issue, you know, I like abortion or something, unfortunately, I'm not going to get a lot of traction. Thankfully, we did get the assisted suicide bill stopped. That was very helpful. But I'm looking for areas where we can get bipartisan support and actually, you know, the financial side, the property taxes, is an amazing amount of bipartisan support that I want to push and take it all in a different direction.
I had a question today. There was a bill that was passed and sent to the governor's desk for signature. That's quite a case of CO2 gas
Yeah.
under the Bahama. Yeah, where did he sign that or not?
He hasn't signed it yet, but he will. That ended up being a pretty clean vote in the Senate and in the House. I think it was as well. And that's another issue where, regardless of where you're at on CO2 sequestration, you know, my personal belief is that I think we ought to find something else to do with the carbon. If we need to capture it, then shove it in the ground and hope it never comes out. But there's lots of data and there's lots of companies that swear by the safety of it. But at least we all did come together and say, okay, at least let's protect the Bahama aquifer and let's put carbon in the ground in other places again, as opposed to our water supply. So that was another one that it will get signed in time. You know, the companies that need to comply understand that, and so even if it doesn't get signed right away, they'll honor the fact that it's going to happen. Anybody else? Sorry, I don't mean to take up all of your time.
No, I appreciate you. I know you're busy.
Good. Well, thank you all. You've got my cell phone. Call me, text me anytime. Anna's available. And we've got other folks look forward to having a presence here this coming month. And thank you for all your hard work.
Gonna pick my hair on, Chris. We'll get there in a second. All right, again, thank you for coming here. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. You're gonna have an office here, so we're really gonna pin you down. Plus, I always got your phone number now, so.
You got that was the
Cell phone.
number one thing that my staff told me not to do, and I've been pretty much doing it everywhere. All right, Anna will be here. Actually, I got something for you real quick. Step out.
All right, we'll move on.
See y'all later.
Finance committee, is what?
Generation share the numbers.
Meeting held at the Administrative Center on June 2nd, 2025 at 10 a.m. Members present: Scott Lutz, Deputy Representative Dr. Shirley Hall, Dave Hawkins. Also present: County Board Chairman Paul Duquette, Finance Manager Joe Johnson, Trade Super Chairman Jeff, Treasurer Elders, PTS Director Eric Raymond, Advisor Cestus Ian Cameron, County Engineer Alan Harwood, Superintendent of Veterans Assistance Jennifer Ingram, St. James Deputy Cameron Biddle, Susie Warner with Homestar, Jeff Facer at Adams Stores with Area Light Technology. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Doug Geiger and seconded by Donna Cruz to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. Susie Warner with Homestar Insurance reported the medical loss ratio was currently at 105.4%. which is a decrease from last month, 140%. The closer this number gets to 80%, the better our renewal will be in December. Jeff Facer with Gary Wang Technologies revisited the new ER endpoint detection and response tool that was discussed last month. Software was approved last month but was not communicated to area-wide. Facer also discussed the Angel servers. Facer said we are currently running a 2012 R2, which has not been supported by Microsoft for several years. This poses a major weakness in our security and needs to be upgraded. Lastly, Facer discussed the Know Before Education tool, which sends out fake email. Training is provided in the event the email is open. Finance Manager Jill Johnson stated that Know Before is renewed every year and is currently set up for emails to be sent monthly. We also have the capability of designing the emails that are sent. ETS Director Eric Raymond let Facer know that the link sent in the educational emails is protected by Mimecast. Department heads gave their monthly reports. They are as follows. Finance Manager Jill Johnson reported the fiscal year 2023 audit has been closed, and she is working on the fiscal year 2024 audit. A meeting with the auditors is being held next Monday to review fund balances. Budget worksheets and budget hearing schedules were sent to department heads. Johnson said she also sent revenue and grant fund information. Budget hearings are scheduled for June 23rd and 24th and June 24th and 23rd. Sheriff Clint Brzee reported the go live date for StarCom was May 20th for radio systems. There were some issues at dispatch, but they are being worked through. The annual DLC jail inspection report was received with no deficiencies and accommodations on the jail staff and progress made. Verizon phones have been distributed to the patrol deputies. The engine group line is hired for the open corrections division. Currently, the Sheriff's Department is fully staffed. Applications are being accepted through June 19th for deputy sheriffs to form a hiring list. The physical agility portion of the process will be held January 21st, and the written exam will be held following Saturday. John Johnson will officially retire from his correctional officer position on June 5th after 27 years of service. Last week, Brzee said he was approached by a county board member inquiring about the flooring project at the courthouse and jail. Brzee said the tiles, which are asbestos tiles, are starting to come loose in some areas of the floor and will need to be addressed. Brzee asked Johnson to add the project to the capital improvement list. The next sentence has a typo. The word evader, I believe, should be evader. So the sentence would read, Brzee also spoke with a certified asbestos evader that they offered to provide us with a cost estimate. Once removed, the decision will need to be made on the type of floor that will replace the tiles. Treasurer Kurt Albers reported not credit and mailed the property tax bills on May 19th. Collection of payments is conducted in 2 days of July 7th and September 8th. County Clerk Brian Zuber reported she's working on the fiscal year 2026 budget for her department. IVRS granted receipt each year by the State Board of Elections. Zuber says she will not let the amount received in time for budget year. The reimbursement for election judges for the consolidated election was received in the amount of $9,295, which amounts to $65 per election judge. We also received reimbursement for the death certificate surcharge grant for fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $1,297. The surcharge is received from the $2 that is collected from each certified copy of the death certificate issued. This money can be used for equipment or services for the production of death certificates. Supervisor of Assessments, Mia McCammon, reported she is working on the fiscal year 2026 budget. State's Attorney Mike Clinton approved the resolution and action will be taken at the Tax Planning and Zoning Committee meeting. The resolution is to authorize the county to charge a fee to townships and multi-townships that are not completing their assessment. ETS Director Eric reported information of the one center. The vacancy is proposed to the interviews will be listed. There are some challenges with StarCom, but they are being remedied. Currently, there are 8 dispatchers in the 911 center. Full staff is considered to be 9 dispatchers, but Raymond is requesting 2. approval to hire a 10th dispatcher. Currently, all Ann that he has been overseeing the 911 center for many years now recognizes that Raymond is very busy. He believes that a 10th dispatcher is needed. County Engineer Alan Harwood provided the committee with salary information provided by the Illinois Department of Transportation. Harwood was hired at a salary of $136,000 for the period of July 15, 2024 through December 31st, 2024. Harwood's salary increased $140,000 for the period of January 1, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. IDOT determines what they deem to be the recommended salary. Harwood is paid with the motor fuel tax funds. If his salary is at least 95% of the required minimum rate, then MFT is reimbursed 50% by federal funds. For fiscal year 25, the recommended minimum salary is $138,700, with county salary in the staff at $140,000. Harwood said the trend is for the recommended salary is increased by 2%. Harwood would be requesting a 2% salary increase during budget year. Discussion was held on the loan request from Veterans Assistance. Superintendent of Veterans Assistance Jennifer Ingram stated she was notified approximately 2 weeks ago by the Treasurer's Office that the Veterans Assistance account was overdrawn. The County Board Chairman Paul Duquette approved a loan of $15,000, and Ingram is requesting an additional $30,000 to be paid back over the next 3 years. The previous loan given to Veterans Assistance has been paid in full. Ingram said she believes the issue lies with her cash flow and when the tax distributions are made. There have been a few unexpected expenses such as an increased phone bill and a cremation fees for indigent veterans. Johnson suggested adding an additional miscellaneous line item rather than budgeting to the penny, and also believes there should be more communication between the VA and the Treasurer's Office about fund balances. Johnson also suggested monthly payments to be made rather than a lump sum. County Board Chairman Paul Duquette inquired about the numbers that serve on the Veterans Assistance Board. Ingram will provide the committee with a list of board members and stated that Charlie Allen is the engaged. The Veterans Assistance Board is aware of the Lastly, Duquette inquired on hiring an additional staff. A full-time employee was hired at $34,560 per year, and this addition was budgeted. It was moved by Crow, seconded by Jamie Bakken to advance $45,000 from the general fund to Veterans Assistance to be paid over the next 3 fiscal years. Roll call vote was taken and the motion carried. Committee continued discussion of hiring an additional telecommunicator in the 911 center. PTS Director Eric Raymond stated he is looking to hire a 10th dispatcher, and that should be 10th, not 10, to reduce the amount of overtime. Bakken asked Raymond to explain the shift schedules and how hiring an additional employee will reduce overtime. Raymond explained that dispatchers were experienced 40 days off. There are 2 different dispatchers working per shift. The starting salary for a dispatcher is $20.20 per hour, with an average new hire cost of approximately $51,000. Raymond also said the ETS board supports the hiring of an additional employee. The current overtime budget is $90,000, and Raymond would like to reduce this to $70,000. Currently, part-time staff are not permitted for the FOP contract. Johnson inquired about the assistant that was budgeted. Raymond said the position was budgeted, but the position was not filled. He would maintain the position again for the upcoming budget year. Finance Chairman Watts asked the committee for a motion on hiring an additional telecommunicator. No motion was made. The Finance Committee reports received by the department heads were discussed. Watts was speaking with the Treasurer's Office about submitting the report to the committee in addition to the county board. That was provided by Johnson and distributed accordingly. There were no Finance Chairman comments. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Bakken and seconded by Crow to pay the claims, subject to county board approval. Roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. No old business, no new business. There was no further business to come before the committee. It was moved by Bakken and seconded by Crow to adjourn at 11:27 a.m. Motion carried by voice vote. all of which is respectfully submitted, and I would appreciate this.
All right, the motion on the floor, do we have a second? Pro. Any further discussion?
Just to make sure everyone knows this is a per diem loan for veterans assistance also. Right? Right, so finance committee and, Barron's.
Yes.
Lentz.
Yes.
Pro. Yes. Ducat.
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Munsterman. Yes. Perkinson.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Alt. Bakken. Yes. Barr.
Yes.
Next up is Health Committee, Mrs. Crowe.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee, as you know, referred health, would definitely to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the administrative center on June 3rd, 2025 at 9 a.m. Members present were Crowe, Munsterman, Houston, Dennis, Bard, and Grant. Also present were Finance Manager Jill Johnson, Animal Control Administrator Angela Prairie, and ICPHD Administrator Robin Allen. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Steve Hughes and seconded by Jody Munsterman to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. Finance Manager Jill Johnson introduced Animal Control Administrator Angela Prairie to the committee. Johnson will continue to work alongside Prairie until the end of the fiscal year. Prairie reported the registration deposit for May was $4,464. The animal control officers closed 31 cases in May. The closed cases consisted of 1 bat, 5 bite reports, 3 well checks, 14 dogs running loose, 2 injured dogs, 4 aggressive dogs, 1 dog attacked, 1 lost dog, 1 found dog, and 3 relinquishment inquiries. There was also 1 animal sent to Wild Animal Control and 1 animal sent to the Department of Natural Resources. There are 7 animals going to eye care. 2 animals have been rehomed and 1 animal is being fostered. Next Tuesday, following the County Board of Health, Chairman Don Crowe will be meeting with Johnson and Prairie to discuss the animal control fiscal year 2026 budget. ICPHD Administrator Robin Allen distributed the monthly summary report of programs. Environmental health issued 15 temporary food permits and 7 radon kits were given. There were 6 private sewage inspections. There were 6 mosquitoes collected in the West Nile virus surveillance. Allen stated the health department is not collecting birds this year for West Nile virus surveillance due to the bird flu. Community health reported 46 childhood administration and immunizations. School physicals and immunizations were done in May, and an additional clinic is scheduled for August. There were 19 adult immunizations. Community health also reported 1 death in Ellis. The tuberculosis program investigated 1 case and 1 skin test. Community outreach conducted 14 educational presentations. These events included Narcan training and CPR training. Community outreach will be holding Safe Center classes in June and July and CPR classes in June. Vision and hearing screenings are complete for the school year. Allen reported a change in staff in the Senior Services Department. Danielle Walls has resigned from her position in the Senior Services Department and will be transferring to the receptionist position. Amy Anthony has been hired to fill the Senior Services position. Lastly, the Board of Health Finance meeting is scheduled for June 4th at 4:30 p.m. Crowe inquired on the open Board of Health position. Allen said the pediatrician that was interviewed last month has not made their decision yet. Crowe reminded the committee that budget hearings are scheduled for June 23 and 24. Crowe said she has reached out to a veterinarian regarding animal control and has not received a response. Drury added that she spoke to a veterinarian in Bradley who was also contacted by a board member and believes they may have some interest. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by John Grant, seconded by Hughes to pay the claims, subject to county board approval. A roll call vote was motion carried to pay the claims. Oh, motion carried. There was no old business, there was no new business, as there was no further business to come before the committee. It was moved by Roger Bard and seconded by Hughes to adjourn at 9:15 a.m. Motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted and signed by those present, and I move for its adoption.
The motion on the floor, we have a second. Mr. Grant? Any further discussion?
Spence?
Yes.
Crowe? Yes. Dukenyak?
Yes.
Reimer?
Yes.
Grant? Hughes? Steve, did you say yes? I'm sorry, thank you. Munsterman? Ferguson? Perkins? Yes. Watts?
Yes.
Williams? Holt? Blackman? Yes. Vaughn? And Barron?
All right, next up, next planning and zoning, Mr. Geiger.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee of rules, for tax planning and zoning, the beg leave to submit the following report on matters before them. The committee met at the administration center on June 3rd, 2025 at 10 a.m. Members present were Doug Geiger, Kathleen Wilkerson, Steve Hughes, Roger Bard, Chad McGinnis, and Joe Goodall. Also present, County Clerk Karina Suber, Treasurer Kurt Alberts, Supervisor Assessment Peter McCann, Planning and Zoning Administrator Julie Feller, Ashton Mirbach, and Cody Valentino with Ranger Power, Julie McKellian with Clean Energy, David Grissom with Allium Renewable Energy, Andrew Kite with Iowa Oyster, Dr. Vicky with Clark Eads, and County Board Member Don Rowe. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Steve Hughes, seconded by Jim Rose, to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. Committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Kathleen Wilkerson and seconded by a vote that made the same subject to county board approval. The roll call vote was taken, motion carried. Department heads gave their monthly reports. Supervisor of assessment did inform the committee that many calls and emails were coming to the assessment office regarding property tax bills. Cannon said she and her staff are doing their best to answer these questions and fully educate the public about property tax process. The board members are also receiving inquiries from the public. Cannon asked that they direct people to the assessment office for assistance. GIS is working well, and Cannon said she has received a lot of information to the GIS site. Planning and zoning administrator Julie Feller reported there are 3 renewable energy projects scheduled to go before the zoning board of appeals on June 17th. There are currently more than 20 potential projects in Iroquois County, and Feller provided the committee with a listing of these projects. Feller will begin renewals for campgrounds and kennels. There were 7 building permits issued in May, with a total of 46 permits issued for the year. There were 12 background checks performed and 6 solicitor licenses were issued. DC's account is in place, and the treasurer's office is communicating with Feller on approval for when the money is deposited. Feller was contacted by the owner of the loaded property and stated they are working on cleaning up the property. The remaining properties can't be acted on until the change is made to the county code. The zoning layer of GIS is work in progress. County Clerk Karina Suber reported through offices preparing for the biennial purge of voter registration. 2 voter cards will be mailed to all registered voters. The County Clerk's office is also preparing for the March 26th primary election. Circulation for petitions for the primary election will be in the last week of July into the first week of August. Filing will begin the last week of October into the first week of November. Kurt Albers, Treasurer Kurt Albers, informed the committee that the news media had reported incorrect information about motor home tax credits. Due date was May 30th, and lien will not be filed until later in the year. Property tax bills were mailed May 19th, and payments are currently being collected. The first installment is due July 7th, and the second installment is due September 8th. Kim presented a resolution to the committee for their approval. The resolution will allow the Iroquois County to be reimbursed per parcel from townships for not having a unit. Kim added State's Attorney Mike Quinlan and reviewed and approved the resolution. If the resolution is approved, Cannon will send the resolution to all townships. Cannon said there is a bill in the General Assembly to increase the census from 1,000 to 3,000, which means townships would have to have 3,000 remain a single township. It was moved by Perkinson and seconded by Hughes to accept the resolution presented by Supervisor Sutton. A roll call was taken, motion carried. The committee then began discussion on the review of the Lewis Creek solar application. Andrew Kite with Iowa Register reported the application was received on May 23rd. A $250,000 application fee was paid. The project includes a battery energy storage system to be regulated as a supporting facility under the CSPF ordinance. The community solar energy facility. Upon review of the application, there were a few areas that needed additional information. Those items are as follows. Complete participating property owner information, oil and water conservation district, evidence of notice of public road authorities, and approved AMA submission of a variance request for the living buffer requirements. The items were communicated to Dave Grissom with the Allen Renewable Energy. Tax and Planning Zoning Chairman Doug Geiger asked that the sequence of steps to follow be explained to the committee since this is the first application brought to the committee. Geiger said the committee will receive information from himself and Scott Rivicki with Clark Eats about whether the application is complete and ready to go to hearing. The committee will take the action and move the application on to the next phase, which is Zoning Board of Appeals hearing. The Zoning Board of Appeals sets findings of fact, makes a recommendation to the committee, and recommends any conditions of approval. The committee will then make their recommendation to the full county board. The final step is the county board's decision. Under statute, the application must go before the county board within 30 days of leaving the zoning board of appeals. Perkinson commented that based on the level of activity the committee has seen in its participation from companies who are looking to submit applications, it is incumbent on us to be as timely as possible, but also make informed decisions. Perkinson recommended the committee consider having a standing committee meeting weekly. Meetings will be held based on whether we have information to review, allow the committee to respond to the application in a timely manner and process review. Information can be emailed in advance to give the committee time to review. Dr. Vicky was hard. He also addressed the application received and noted that there is a variance for fence. The applicant is proposing 8-foot tall chain link perimeter fence, but the county's ordinance requires 10-foot perimeter fence. Plan should be revised to reflect the interest fence around the battery storage. Ferguson inquired on the agricultural impact mitigation agreement came up. Dave Grissom with Allen Renewable Energy explained that the AMO was submitted to the state and he made them aware of the pending deadline of possible pending public hearing in mid to late June. The agreement has been mitigated on their end, and they are waiting for the state to send it back. Kite added that it is used to be a requirement to have a fully executed AMA before the application is sent to hearing. State statute has changed, and the only requirement is that AMA be fully executed at the time of the hearing. Geiger discussed the items pertaining to the soil water district, the conservation district, and the public road authorities. Kite said for statute, the applicant must send the natural resource inventory application to the soil and water conservation district, and the soil and water conservation district has 30 days to send it back. This is not a condition precedent to the application being completed. The condition is the applicant sending the application to the Soil and Water Conservation District. Kristen informed the committee that he had emailed the application last night to the occasion coordinator and the county engineer. Geiger and Feller were copied on the email. Kristen said that there was some confusion regarding the solar water Conservation District, as it was there in the ordinance, but he will send the documents today. Kristen added that it was noted in their application that they didn't want to include contact information for the participating landowner for confidentiality reasons and can submit a list to the zoning office separately. To recap, Geiger stated the committee has been sent an application. Our external advisors have completed their review and presented the deficiencies listed. The applicant is present and has complied with some of the deficiencies. The committee can choose to move forward with the application today with the promise from the applicant that the other items will be completed, or the committee can hold a special meeting once all items are complied with. Perkinson recommended holding a special meeting on Tuesday, June 10th at 8:30. Kristen told the committee he can complete the remaining item by email within a few minutes today during the committee meeting. Action on the Creek solar application was tabled until confirmation is received and all the deficiencies have been complied with. I provided an update on the applications for the three community solar projects. The Directory has 2 solar projects and Green Key has 1 solar project, all under 5 megawatts. I said these projects are typically under 30 acres and each project is well under this acre. The projects were applied for prior to the county's ordinances going into effect. Therefore, the process the committee just went through with Allium doesn't apply. A public hearing has been scheduled for June 17th. The Zoning Board of Appeals will hold their hearing and send the recommendations to the committee. The committee will then send their recommendations to the full county board. Kite added that all 3 applications mostly follow the ordinances that are in place. When it comes to the building permit, they will have to follow the building permit's requirements. That's the permits that we passed in our ordinance. Geiger stated that Feller will send all applications to the committee for review. No action is required today. Geiger asked for clarification if the Zoning Board of Appeals denies an application. Kite said the same process will be followed. The Zoning Board of Appeals will send their recommendations to the committee, and the committee will send the recommendations to the county board for final decision. Feller presented amendments to section 14 of the county code. Feller has worked along with the county commissioner, and State Attorney Mike Quillen on the proposed changes that include the daily fine to not exceed $1,000 and added a section allowing attorney fees to be reimbursed. Feller stated that when there is an issue with a property, he will send a letter to the property owner. No explanation by the property owner to comply. Fines will begin, and each day a violation exists or continues shall constitute a separate offense. If a property owner is unable to pay the fines, Feller said she believes the property can be assumed by the county and sold. It was moved by Whitlow and seconded by Hughes to adopt the resolution amending section 14 of the county code. The roll call vote, Perkins, aye. Hughes, aye. Carr, absent. Guinness, nay. Whitlow, aye. Geiger, aye. Motion carried. Feller also presented the meteorological power application for review. Geiger expressed concern on the application, stating it's very similar to our solar power application, and the 199 feet requirement doesn't seem appropriate. Like said, the reason behind the 199 feet requirement is when it goes over 200 feet, they are subject to FAA approval. The committee will review the application. No action is needed at this time. Ferguson asked if Feller to change the sketch of the site plan included with the application. An update was given on the floodplain ordinance violation. Trevicki informed the committee that Ameren had been very responsive to the notification of violation and also responsive to working with us to remedy the situation. Trevicki said he recently met with their staff engineers and was provided with the concept plan that would provide a net zero impact to the floodplain at that specific location. They are currently pursuing land rights in the form of drainage easements from an adjoining property owner. Trevicki stated he is confident that the violation will be resolved this summer and will continue to keep the committee updated. During the tax planning and zoning chairman comments, Geiger suggested the committee consider appointing alternate ZBA members to ensure a quorum at the ZBA hearings. Ferguson asked that Feller provide the committee with a list of townships without a ZBA member. The committee revisited the Lewis Creek solar application. Kristen stated property owner information has been emailed to the planning and zoning office, and the application has been emailed to the Sterling Water Conservation District. Geiger, Feller, and Canada Ricky have been copied on those emails. It was moved by Cam McGinnis and seconded by Whitler to approve the Willow Creek solar application. The roll call vote was taken, motion carried. There was no old business. Turning to new business, McCain reported there was nothing set by the state at this time for assessment wise for average solar units. As there was no further business, the government solar committee was moved by McGinnis, seconded by Hughes, adjourned 11:21 p.m. Motion carried by voice vote, all of which respectfully submitted. Make a motion for that.
Motion on the floor, do a second. Grant. Any further discussion?
In almost the last full paragraph, where Lewis Creek Solar provided the information, it says that the committee moved to approve the application. I believe we should clarify that wording to say that the application was deemed complete. Because we're not approving the application, we're
Great.
only designated as to be complete for the process. So can you make that change, please?
Yes. Let's wait and see.
Yeah, no, I've got it.
Thank you.
I have a comment as well. On the part where it says purpose and recommended the committee consider having a standing committee weekly meetings will be held based on the other information review. Allow the committee to respond to the applications in a timely manner, the process moving. So I would just ask that when budget hearings come, there's some more thought on, so we can have a realistic county board line item for as far as the project.
Good point. Once they submit their application, though, this takes place, they send their money in, and the money, their application fee goes towards any special meeting they have. So the county would be reimbursed for the meeting. That kind of makes sense. So it's another,
Yeah. That makes sense. I wonder if they'll pay on something, but they still get paid for another. So we could discuss it further.
yeah. Good point.
The other for discussion.
The two resolutions and report. So, Crowe.
Yeah.
Dukenyak.
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Munsterman. Okay. Ferguson.
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Williams. Sorry. Alt.
Yes.
Stockton.
Yes.
Bard. Barron.
Yes.
And Betts. Carried.
Motion carries. Judicial and public safety.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board. The committee to whom was referred judicial and public safety today to submit the following report on the matters before. Your committee met at the courthouse, 7:25, 3 p.m. It was present, Jasmine Whitlow, Official Dance, Reagan Williams, Lyle Barron, Jeff Hughes. Also present, Sheriff Mike Brzee, Warren Bill Shannon, Probation Supervisor Bart King, Judge Mike Sable, State's Attorney Mike Quinlan, Circuit Clerk Lisa Hines, and Bailiff Kevin Copeland. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Raymond Williams, seconded by Mr. Dennis to approve the agenda, motion carried by the voice vote. There were no public comments. Sheriff Brzee presented his monthly report to the committee as follows. Starcom go live date was May 20th for the radio system. There were some issues in dispatch that they were being worked through. Deputies have commented on how clear the communications are. The annual DOJ Jail inspection report was received with no deficiencies. And recommendations were received on the jail staff and progress made. Verizon phones have been distributed to patrol deputies. The addition of the equipment is very helpful. Daniel Rutlov was hired for the open corrections position. Currently, the Sheriff's Department is fully staffed. Sheriff's Department is accepting applications through June 19th for deputy sheriffs to form a hiring list. On June 21st, the physical agility portion of this process will be held, and the written exam will be held the following Saturday. Sean Johnson will officially retire from the corrections officer position as of June 5th, marking 27 years of service for Iroquois County. Received reported some problems with the body scanner, which were taken care of by the company, but our warranty has expired. Warranty options were received by two vendors. Several inmates have petitioned to be able to go to the Brandon House program. Warner Bill Cheatham reported a claim has been submitted for payment to Cooster Electric for maintenance and repairs on the cooler at the morgue. Probation Supervisor Barb King reviewed the probation and court service activities report for May. Judge Mike Sable reported no new updates for his department. Circuit Clerk Lisa Hines distributed her monthly report for May to the committee for their review. A total of $44,751.82 was received in fines and fees. $7,605.19 was received from paperwork, and $7,290.54 was received from IDOC. Hines also presented a resolution to extend the circuit clerk audit. It was moved by Benson and seconded by Williams to approve the resolution extending the audit period for the circuit clerk. Roll call vote was taken, and motion carried. State's Attorney Mike Quinlan reported no new updates for the State's Attorney's Office. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Behrens and seconded by Williams to pay the dues for the public safety claims. Subject to county board approval. Roll call vote was taken, and motion carried. There was no old business. During new business, reviewed the warranty options received for the body scanner with the committee as follows. 2-year contract, annual checkup and maintenance for the body scanner and baggage scanner, $9,000. 1-year contract, annual extended warranty for body scanner, $10,000. A 1-year contract, annual extended warranty silver plan for body scanner, $7,500. Proceed recommended the 2-year contract for $9,000 as this covers 2 machines. No action is required today. The matter will be placed on the agenda next month. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Behrens, seconded by Betts to adjourn the meeting at 3:23. Motion carried by voice vote, all of which was submitted, and I move for the top.
All right, the motion on the floor, do we have a second? Mr. Hughes. Any further discussion? Earl.
I just have a question, and maybe you know, maybe you don't. When inmates petition to go to a treatment program, is that at the discretion of the sheriff, or is that a formal action before the judge?
I believe it is the discretion of the sheriff. It's kind of a 50-50 chance. Are they serious about getting help? Are they just wanting to get out? So the sheriff takes that under advisory.
If I remember what he said, he find some task.
He has, yeah.
Might be considered.
They look at each case individually.
But it is at the discretion of the sheriff?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be in front of the judge?
State's attorney shaking his head.
Now, I have opposed a couple inmates who, one of whom is just a career criminal and a drug dealer, who would be an escape risk if he went to treatment. It does require us signing off. We don't sign off on it. Ultimately, it's up to the judge. And in the one case that I can recall as opposing, and most of the time we don't have any problem with it. Most of the offenders asking to go to treatment
are in on drug offenses. They picked up 3 or 4 different drug charges. So don't oppose those, and he ended up denying the defendant's request to go to treatment.
Thanks for clarifying it like that.
Any other discussion? Mr. Barr?
Yes, maintenance and repairs on the cooler at the morgue. That cooler hasn't been in there that long, has it?
Correct. And he had Weber come I believe three times to make the repairs. Every time the problem continued. So he made a judgment call, called someone to take care of the issue, and we don't have a problem with it. Yes, it should have been taken care of by Webers. They attempted it. It didn't get done.
So is that under warranty?
Yes or no, I'm sure this Cooster is gonna have to be paid for out of the morgue's money.
It'll be out of
He's aware of
Cheatham's funds.
He's aware of that.
Will there be reimbursement from the warranty? I mean, that's like if you're
You'll probably get it under warranty for the parts that were probably repaired, but I would remote the service. Okay. Any other questions?
Nope, we are voting on judicial and public safety report along with the resolution. Audit, you have
Yes.
Favor?
Yes.
Masterson? Dickinson? Black?
Yes.
Williams? Alt? Duncan?
Yes.
Bard?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Spence?
Yes.
And Crowe?
Yes.
Transportation Highway Committee, Mr. Hall.
Charlie Hall.
Okay.
Yes.
It's correct.
This will review the committee will take action later in the meeting. There was no public comment. I want to emphasize that. Claims and financial reports were received is moved by Jamie Bacon, and second by Will to pay bills subject to county court approval. All vote in favor, motion carried. Next, we visit on the public and sign committee. That's it, bid. 6 bridges is likely to provide up to the public in their primary stages. The program is fully funded by the state. Also, Harvard received letter on the Chapel Bridge. The member states that funded the construction of Illinois special programming the SB projects include replacing Chapel Bridge. Federal IDS committed that the project will not exceed $2,796,000 and required a 20% local match. Funding for the project is also subject to fiscal year 2030 annual appropriations. Committee discussed the scheduling of the RBS Bridge project. This new by Vince and second by Hughes, second by RBS Bridge, planning for Thursday, June 26, 2025, 9 a.m. Motion carried by the full support. Whole business. The procedure committee will capture the NBC saving 1,500 and the bid subject to last month. The bill are being used for the township, Ashford Township, the Lion Park, to consider 2025. Part of the located petitions county here was signed in 2014. We have stated he would like to see the funds used on another project. It was moved by me and second by me, Ross County Engineer Alan Harder, right, delivered to the governor, requesting an extension of ability to use the funds on another project. The call vote is taken. Munson, A, yes, nay, Williams, A, Hughes, A, Bacon, nay, Paul, nay. Motion fails. Bacon. Committee, under due diligence of a project outside to improve our Bacon. Except that they're quite good. $7.25 per 7 Bridge, 2,800 yen, in the parentheses, or to the county board for approval. Full the state, the motion, A, UK, A, all day, motion carried. Approved by Bacon, and second by Lynch, adjourned at 9:42 a.m. Motion carried by both votes. All three correctly submitted. Now there is a revision of this page before the meeting started, and Alan has that, okay?
The last line of the first page and the second, it was moved by Jamie Bakken and seconded by Vince. Forward to the county board for approval. It did not approve the committee and sent it to the county board. So the acceptance of IBC bid from Jim Reynolds and a section and bridge should be crossed off.
So they're not forwarding that bid to the county board?
They're forwarding it to the county board.
Okay, so it needs to say that it was moved by Buck and seconded by Vince to forward Iroquois Pavings bid in the amount of $745,825 for all of those bridge numbers.
It was not accepted by them.
Right, but we're forwarding to the county board for approval. That's what that sentence should say. All of that needs to be in there, though,
Yes.
right? Okay. So that's being forwarded to the board. We're gonna change that, and then you guys are gonna vote on that after we approve the highway report. Does that make sense to everyone? Well, it's not gonna be separated because what the committee took action on was forwarding it to the board, not taking action on it. So that's why we have to do it as a separate motion. We're not gonna pull it from the report and do that whole separation thing. we're just going to forward to the board for approval. Right, but it wasn't because of the way the minutes were.
People on one side, they have good points, people on the other side, they have good points. So close and then we decided by we decided
But when we did vote on it, it was a tie vote, so we could forward it in favor or against, so we want to forward it to the board, let the board.
That's not correct.
Is that not correct? I'm sorry.
It was, the motion was made for Alan to write a letter to the governor. That was a tie vote, so that failed. I could be incorrect, but I thought I made a motion to accept the bid and leave it in the hands of the county board. Maybe that is not what I did. Maybe I just made a motion to send it to the county board. I honestly, I can't remember yesterday, let alone Thursday, so I apologize for that, but I felt as if I made a motion to accept the bid and leave it.
And then if these were approved, that it's gonna be approved by the county.
That is correct. That is what I thought, the motion that I made in the meeting.
Okay.
If it was not, then
Are you okay with it being changed to forwarding to the county board and
That is-
voting on it separate?
that is fine.
Is that,
I am fine with that. Yes, I just want to make it clear that
and
that,
then, just so everyone knows, be very clear when you are making a motion in the meeting, so there's no question between what was said. I'm not sure if highway meetings get recorded. I know the ones in here do. It's something we can always go back to the minutes or to the recordings for, but we need to make sure we're very precise in what we're saying in what's going to happen, just so things can get approved properly. Again, we can change this if you're good with changing that to forwarding to the county board, so it gets voted on separately. Good with that?
I think maybe the committee, correct me if I'm wrong, thought that this was money that, quite a bit of money. And like we've been there for the county. But, the bridge itself, I think we've heard it talk about it earlier today, that it falls with only several people using the bridge. But they could have had this money years ago. And the state doing its job, now they're giving us the money. And kind of hate and say, why did you, the public say, how can you spend it on location? How we can't do it. This was done a long time ago.
Right now, what we're gonna do is vote on the report, right? And then we'll move.
What we're going to do is vote on the report with the corrections that were made this morning, just,
The discussion on this should highway will happen.
if we're gonna start discussing the bridge, yes.
You want to vote on the report itself first, and then vote on the bridge itself second. Go ahead.
Okay, you need to make a motion to approve the report with the corrections that were made.
All got a motion on the floor, do we have a second? Yes. All right, Mr. Finch, second. Any further discussion about the report?
Okay, Geiger,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Munsterman,
Yes.
Ferguson,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Whitlow. He's not here.
Williams.
Williams, Jacobs, Alt, Bakken,
yes,
Bard,
Yeah.
Barron,
Yeah.
Benz,
Yes.
Crowe, yes, Ducat.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 14-0.
Now, we have further discussion after that?
mentioned earlier in the meeting, I believe, but you just reviewed what is the Iroquois County portion of dollars that have spent on this. What is our portion of the county?
RBI money left for Vance Township, I believe, about 230,000. I believe Ashland has about 305,000, so a little over 200,000 would be out of other funds. Typically, a bridge like this, we would do under Township Bridge, that we would split it 80, 10, 10. 80 out of our Township Bridge, 10 out of our county bridge. That full 200,000 would be about.
280,000.
They would probably get broken out.
So the 8, 10, 10 is going to that's how this
Move this over.
200,000.
Yes.
This going to any way financial strategy.
So the motion being stated that the numbers for after council's included.
Someone needs to make a motion today, like we haven't made.
I will make a motion that the county board approves this job from IP for $745,825. With the county's portion being $208,904.
Wait a second. Okay, now we have further discussion. Mr. Geiger?
On the first page, the fifth paragraph down, starts going, but at the end, it was moved by Bakken and second by Hughes, schedule the RBI bid letting for Thursday. So, we have more than one bridge here for county.
We do. Believe it or not, we do.
Sorry, thank you.
You're welcome.
Further discussion.
$208,000 change over minutes to Jarvis for the meeting.
Yes, it's a this is a replacement, the bid that I was given at our meeting on June 5th. So this is the correct one, it's the one you gave to the, these are the numbers that were brought to us, that you guys.
Yes, sir.
If we do not repair this bridge, will the RBI money, can we use that somewhere else, or is that
Gone.
we can't use for any money that's used to our stuff?
Any further discussion?
She would like to be able to use it somewhere else, but that's what they we did.
No, we're not. No, we are not. That is what failed in the committee. Nothing else is being done. Yes, this is just,
So back to the motion. Any further discussion about the motion?
I suppose the truth is, we can't have the kids into the triangle line for a long time. And I was gonna build the bridge.
Anything else? Anyone else? Yes, sir. Second.
I've got, Blackman and Barron.
No further discussion?
Everyone knows what we're voting on, right?
Yeah, let's get it straight.
Nope.
Wait, what we just want to go.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the to approve the bid from IPC for $745,825 for, and then I'm putting in those bridge numbers, Bridge 2800 North, with the county portion, $208,940. Those are the right numbers, right?
what is the right?
I agree with them.
I will look the information that I.
Yeah, that was our estimate for letting. I didn't know if I was just staying in there. So that's what the county would actually have to come up with that. Okay. Then we got about $1 million. Good try.
My apologies, $216,274.86.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I'll make a,
so also you're gonna amend your
amend my
motion,
motion.
and you're good with that amendment? Okay.
No.
Okay, so we're approving the bid from IPC for $745,825. And then again, I'm putting in bridge numbers, Bridge 2800 North, with the county portion being $216,274.86.
Oh,
This is an 80% split. So of that 216,274, that's the entire county's portion, or 10% of that portion?
UDP would pay for 80% of that number.
So,
The bridge would pay for 10%. And actual,
so right. So this 216 is going to be split like 4 ways, correct? So just for giggles,
I got
what's
it
the
right.
county generated for?
What portion will be ours and, of this
just on the
two?
UDP or on the county cash?
With the total number that the county generated?
21, 6,
So that means just for further another look at it, about 21 feet that the county's generated. How do those sit down and
No, no, that's what is being taken off, but the county's writing the track for from the 216.
Okay.
I mean, it's dashed on the 5%, just the 21,000.
So this should be, this is ours, 190, 194, 6, 47. I'll never be able to do these
So come back.
numbers.
All right, I want to see you two road commissioners for at least 6 more months.
I'll give you a year.
Yeah.
I just gotta realize, all you got 4.
We'll get there. The TDP fund will pay $173,019.89. The county bridge will pay $21,000
$627.49. And then both Ashland and Shabans will be split evenly at an additional $10,813.07.
Any other further discussion?
Yeah.
Tom, you good? All right, great. Well,
I think we need to make another amendment to the motion because the county portion is not going to be correct? Correct. So, are you good with amending your motion and seconding the amendment to the amendment that we are going to take?
It would be easier for her to withdraw.
I mean, just the same difference. So we're gonna amend the amendment, and we're going to separate out the county portion from EBT will be $173,019.89. The portion from county bridge will be $21,627.49. And each township, Ashland and Shabans will pay $10,813.74 of the total portion that is not paid for from. Yeah.
Exactly what. So then, motion to accept the bid to be split at 8%.
Or, I am good.
Yes.
Amendment, to an amendment,
Thank
to
you,
an
Laura.
amendment. 80, 10. Okay.
Okay, so no one can vote on it, but doesn't limit him.
That works. Everyone know what we're voting on?
Yes.
I'm gonna sit down.
Do I need to restate this motion?
Yes.
Okay. So we're approving the bid from IPC for $745,825 for Bridge 2800 North. With the North State County's portion, with the portions to be separated, 80% from township, what is TBP? Township Bridge Program, 10% from County Bridge, and 10% or 5% each from Ashcombe and Shabans Township. Does that sound correct? Okay. Are we all good on that? 80, 10, 10 of that. Okay. We have amendments of amendments, yeah.
Didn't I allow you to read my
Yes, they have amended their motions. Okay. We're gonna roll. Grant,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Munsterman. Yes. Perkinson. Yes. Watts.
Yes.
Williams.
No.
Holt.
Yes.
Bakken.
Yes.
Barb.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Betts.
Yes.
Crowe. Yes. Dukenyak.
Yes.
And Geiger.
Yes. Thank you both for coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to policy committee to watch.
First policy and procedures is that we following report on the matter before them. Committee met at the administrative center on June 5th, 2025 at 10:05 a.m. Members present, planning board chairman, Paul Duquette, Donna Crowe, Deputy Clerk Kathleen Perkins, Charlie Goff, Jennifer Lowe, Watson Geiger were absent. Also present, finance manager Jill Johnson, county clerk Ian Super, planning and zoning administrator Judy Fowler, EMA director Scott Anderson, IDEA director Angel Crawford, Carl Burgess, county coordinator Jamie Clark, and everything else. Meeting was called to order. It was moved by John Crowe, seconded by Jeff Whitman, to approve the agenda. Motion carried by voice vote. There were no public comments. EMA director Scott Anderson distributed his monthly report to the committee. May 15th, the semi-home and oversight will and very late provider. The situation was mitigated many hours later. It does significant spillage and reason fuel oil to drive kids. County received a testimony on 16 from the National Weather Service with the extreme weather conditions. EMA monitored wind speeds and visibility issues at several locations within the county and reported findings to the National Weather Service. Line severe storms passed through the southern portion of the county on May 20th, with 2 tornado warnings issued by FWS. New siren warning procedures were not in place at the time, resulting in sirens not being activated in the populated local area following the first issue. After the second issue, FWS part, sirens were not activated until Anderson was instructed ACOM to activate them. No touchdowns were reported, as well as no significant damage. Anderson continues to work on the redesign of the EOP. Final approval of this document is not due until the end of June 2026. Anderson has scheduled a joint training session to take place with the Health Department on July 22nd. This training will test administrative capabilities to sustain both short-term and long-term funding of the Health Department emergency. Members of the Health Department administration, County Finance Department, as well as the County Board Chairman and Vice Chairman have been invited to participate. This training is required by IDPH and EMA will also be training credit for the drill. Despite delays in Washington, FEMA, Anderson said the truth, they're still on track for July 15th. Anderson was informed of the grant opportunity made available thanks to the hazard mitigation plan. Monies are available for projects included in the current plans, but the time frame to complete the application was extremely narrow. Anderson chose the warning siren installation at the fairgrounds as a project due to the simplistic nature of the planning process. Anderson has gathered the required information on the equipment and labor costs, and the total should be approximately $40,000. The grant pays 75%, the in-kind match 25%, approximately $10,000. Anderson is seeking board approval for the in-kind portion of this project should the grant funding be denied. Anderson said it's not heard yet as to whether or not the variable will be contributed to the cost of the project. Grant deadline is June 20th. It was moved by Colonel Secretary by the vote to approve the expenditure of 25%, approximately $10,000 for the purchase of an installation of a siren for the fairgrounds. Any additional information? The roll call vote is taken. Motion carried. The new warning system policies were completed with input from ETS Director Eric Rainer. The new procedures took effect on May 23rd. There should no longer be any delays in siren activation following the On June 3rd, during the monthly testing of the warning sirens throughout the county, the communications issue prevented all the sirens within the county from activating except for the Watsika sirens. Anderson was notified of the issue and Raven was already in the process of researching the cause of the problem. Once the problem has been identified and rectified, Raven will schedule a retest of the system countywide, and Anderson will issue a press release making the public aware of the unscheduled test. EMA has purchased a high-end Davis weather station. It has been installed and is currently providing continuous weather data. The current location for the weather station we modified as we determined that the hot air generated from the HVAC system heat exchangers below the device was creating inaccurate temperature. EMA also purchased a professional level and monitor. Big type of and To accurately monitor speed and record wind speeds. This device was utilized to record the wind speeds during a high wind dust sporting event and pass the data along to NWS. Anderson also purchased 2 DOT-approved reflective codes that are rain and wind proof to allow staff to safely operate. Anderson was unable to attend the Amish Radio Club meeting on May 22nd. Anderson attended the Maybass meeting in Ashburn on May 28th. The weather station had the ability to access the data was discussed, well received. Anderson also spoke about the grant opportunity and the possibility of having early warnings in the fairgrounds was also noticed. Anderson continues to share information on the EMA Facebook page. Data collected from the weather station available on the county EMA website or web page and Facebook. Discussion was held on weather alert policy. Anderson said the policy is in place and some changes may need to be made later. The committee also discussed the installation of weather stations. As stated in Anderson's report, the weather station was ready to the actions. Committee chairs gave their monthly reports. Management Chairman Kathleen Perkinson reported the Finance Committee discussed the deficiency with the antivirus software with area line. The software was approved and communicated to area line. Discussion was held on County Engineer Alan Harlan's salary. Veterans Assistance requested a $45,000 loan to be paid back over 3 years. The committee approved this request. The committee received reports from the department heads and also discussed the hiring of a 10th telecommunicator, and no action was taken. Perkinson reported that the Tax Planning and Zoning Committee received reports from the department heads. The committee discussed and approved the solar project application and discussed the meteorological tower application that was presented. The committee also received an update on the floodplain ordinance violation. Perkinson reported the management committee received a monthly report from Maintenance Supervisor Chris Drake and discussed capital improvement items for the upcoming budget. The committee also discussed the location of the weather station and the configuration of the boardroom. Judicial Chairman Judd Wentlow reported the committee received the monthly reports from department heads and approved a resolution extending the audit for the circuit clerk. Highway Chairman Charlie Young reported the committee opened and took action on a bid received for a bridge that was re-let. A special meeting was scheduled for June 26th at 9 a.m. Discussion was also held on bridges that have been selected for the IDOT Bridge Bundle. An update was given on Chapel Bridge. Health Chairman Donna Crowe reported the Health Committee received reports from Animal Control and the Iroquois County Public Health Department. Animal Control Administrator Angela Frary was introduced to the committee. Crowe will be meeting with Frary after the board meeting on Tuesdays to discuss animal control items. Animal Control is currently hiring for a kennel worker and a worker. Crowe is reaching out to veterinarians. Finance Manager Jill Johnson will continue to assist Frary through November. The committee also discussed capital improvement items for the animal control building ways to bring in extra revenue. Anderson provided a copy of the weather alert policy and also came out the policy to the committee. No action is needed. Crowe provided an update on rural transportation, stating the meeting was held on May 16th with Chris to review their services. County Board Chairman Paul Beatrick, County Board Chairman Jamie Bakken were also in attendance. Crowe said the meeting was very informative and they learned that the providers, Chris and Showbus, were responsible for contracts as they utilize the service. At this time, the main contract on jobs with the audit and time. Available with less than no cost to our needs. Money and usually be pursuing this. Crowe said they also learned that Chris is able to do insurance, Medicare, and Medicaid for the use of services. Chris has 22 buses and 4 vans. He serves in Vermilion County 6 days a week from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. Another meeting was held May 20th. County Board Member Jamie Bakken provided an update as Crowe was unable to attend. Contracts were brought to the meeting for Livingston County and Chris, and Livingston County and Showbus. During the meeting, it was noted that Showbus is no longer willing to serve Cerro County. The lead out partly with Livingston County is working on 3 months, possibly a 6 month agreement for transition. Chris has said they are willing to step up and serve Cerro County. It was stated that Showbus appears to not be willing to grow at times, and the lack of cooperation has made them difficult to work with. Monty Andrews will be attending the county board meeting Tuesday. Roll noted the minutes from the May 20th meeting are available for review. Dr. Clerk Grant Super provided a list of liquor licenses to be approved by the committee. Super noted that 2 raffle and poker licenses contained 5. It was moved by Alt, seconded by Parkinson to approve the annual liquor licenses. Roll call vote was tabled, motion carried. Appointments were made at the county board meeting. Correspondence was distributed to the committee for review. Committee reviewed claims. It was moved by Whitwell and seconded by Parkinson to pay the claims such as the county board approved. Roll call vote was taken, motion carried. During old business, Parkinson discussed the piecemeal program to the last sentence, stated it appears a very successful new program has been implemented at City's Roadside Cafe. Publicly started yesterday. During new business, we'll discuss the matter of hiring an additional telecommunicator. We've seen there are many families in the area that have a history of working with the EMS, fire departments, and other emergency services. Job vacancies are advertised appropriately. Perhaps we can use our resources and departments and families to establish long-term relations. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Whitwell, seconded by Crowe, to contribute to 11:42. Motion carried by Blake Pope. All officials instruct this committee.
There's a motion on the floor. We have a second. Mr. Geiger? Yes, sir. Any further discussion?
I have a couple of changes, just for clarification. On, page 3 at the bottom, Pearl provided an update on rural trend to review their services. That was really a presentation. When we say review their services, it sounds kind of like they're already providing. So we had a presentation with Chris. And then on the last page, about 5 down, maybe 6 lines down, where it begins with another meeting was held May 20th. I think we need to identify that meeting as the Rural Transportation Board for the tri-county, or the 3 counties involved. Just so we're clear, that was an official meeting, the other was a presentation.
Anything else?
And the contracts that were brought to that meeting were an agreement between Chris and Ford County, not Livingston. And then one for Livingston and Show Bus. There was nothing we brought to the table here at that.
Any other further discussion?
Yes. Munsterman? Yes. Parkinson?
Yes.
Watts?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Holt?
Yes.
Hawkins?
Yes.
Bard?
Yes.
Barron?
Yes.
Benz?
Yes.
Crowe?
Yes.
Ducat?
Yes.
Geiger?
Yes.
Grant?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
before we move on, Mr. Anderson, what time does that training begin, the joint training exercise on the 22nd of July? What time?
9 a.m.
And where is it?
It's in my EOC, the courthouse.
All right, moving on to negotiations.
Chairman and members of the County Labor Committee, the room is referred to negotiations with faculty with the following matters before them. Committee met at the Administrative Center on June 2nd, 2025 at 11:37 a.m. Members present were Ducat, Geiger, Ferguson, Bachman, President, Vice Chairman Watts, Finance Manager Drew Johnson, Commissioners 911 PTSD director. They can be represented by the meeting is called to order. And that's to discuss ongoing negotiation activities. Meeting adjourned 1 p.m. All business respectively submitted.
That was for information only. Go ahead and move on. Got appointment. And full administrator, and then have more information only below that. But for the animal control administrator. Okay. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Wait, just a second.
Sure. All right, all in favor, say aye one more time. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And the motion to approve the claims. For Ernst. Have a second. Mr. Geiger. Any further discussion? Roll.
Huntsman. Yes. Parkinson.
Yes.
Watts.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Hawken.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
Barons.
Yes.
Spence.
Yes.
Crowe.
Yes.
Ducat.
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
And Hughes.
Yes. The old business.
Three items. Board members, please forward all numbers from preachers and pastors. This was a tremendous reminder. Minutes, so we're going to do for the meeting to get to sign the meeting. Minutes for the meeting to days. And that's good on the time sheets.
The other old business. New business. The NACO, county. What about it? Please gave you about going to United County Council of Illinois paying up to $3,000 in expenses. Expenses are pretty close to conference fee of $740. Staying in hotels, $1,200. Airfare, $440. Parking, $85. It comes up to about $900. I don't know if the $50 a day that we get would be covered by CCI. I think we should have somebody go to the July, like that. Anything else? Taking a motion. First, I need a second. Brunts. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Thank you, everybody.